Hey, what's up you guys? I've got a super important video to share with you today. As with everything I do on this channel, this is not the channel that you go to learn perfect play and perfect theory and all this stuff. I'm an intermediate player who's trying to become an advanced player, and I share my trials and tribulations and what I learn along the way with you guys, and if it's helpful for you, that's fantastic. So, come along for the ride. So today in this video, this is super important, and I think that what we're going to look at really is at the intermediate level. So if you're talking like 1200 to 1800, this is probably the number one most critical factor in your chess success. You can learn openings, you can learn your opening theory, you can memorize what moves to make, you can study endgames, right? You can study tactics, you can improve your positional play, your strategy, but all that's it's all good. Don't get me wrong, it's all good, but the thing that makes the biggest difference in most games, I would say, is going to be calculation. Right? Do you calculate? So what do we mean by calculation? I mean, I've got the most fantastic example here that we're going to work through together, right? What is calculation? Calculation is if this, then what? Right? That's all. And now stockfish, if you run the fish couldn't do 18, 20 moves deep. Okay? Idea number one. Okay, well, there's 3, 4 responses, blah, blah, blah. And it says, if this, then that, to millions of different outcomes. And then it picks the best ones. Now, we can't do that. And to be honest, it's not very useful. It really isn't that useful. Because many players will calculate one move. Literally, one move. I'm going to make that move. That looks like a move. Okay, I make it, right? And without even going, this is the absolute beginner, without even going, if I do that, what can my opponent do? And then you go, right, if I do that, what are my opponent's options? If option A, is that good for me, or is it better for me or better for them? Option B, better for me, better for them, and then are those outcomes good? Is my opponent likely to find the best one? And then you've got, well, how about consider, idea number 2? So that's another thing, right? How many candidate moves do you consider? So, and then you've got, like, up to the grandmaster level, they might go, well, I know that if I do this, then they could do that, and that's going to cause me, a problem. And yes, all of the positional stuff and the strategic stuff comes into this, but they are all factors in, and the tactics, they're all factors in those lines that you calculate. So let's go through this game. This is a 5-minute blitz game that I just played this morning, just like as I woke up. I won the game, and I was extremely lucky to win it. Well, I mean, I did play better than my opponent, but, well, as you'll see, there is a key position in this game, right? And I made the wrong move. It really is one of those, I call them the Tarantino positions. It's like everyone's gun is pointing at everyone else, and it's like I can't even figure out what's going on. And there's the key. So anyway, I made the wrong move. Let's see if you can find it using the power of your mind. Ooh. Right, so e4, e5, and then what do you know, the King's Gambit with f4. Now, previously, I've just been playing knight to c6, which is a very safe way to decline the King's Gambit. Okay, you can take the pawn, and that takes you down the yellow brick road into a land of mystery and danger and excitement. I'm just not ready for that. I don't understand the King's Gambit well enough. I started looking at it a couple of months ago. I didn't take it any further. But what I have been looking into, and I will do a video on this, is the Falkbeer counter gambit with d5. And actually, if you look on Lichess, this is a very well performing response to the KG. Now, in the Falkbeer, I think f takes e is an immediate blunder. I believe so. But most common is going to be this. So white takes on there, and I simply recapture, okay? So this is the Falkbeer accepted. I've got an awkward pawn there that's not going to survive for very long, and white has double pawns here. I develop my knight attacking his pawn, he develops his knight defending his pawn. I develop my bishop to d6 defending my pawn, and also just, preventing this guy from moving forward. I'm also preparing to castle kingside should I wish. His bishop comes out with check, I block with my bish, he trades off. Probably not a good idea. If you think about it, right? It's white to move here. Okay, so we've got 2 pieces out on the board each, right? He brings out his bishop, so now he's 1 step ahead in development. Right, now I develop my bishop, okay? Slightly less active, but, and now we're kind of equal again, which is the way it should be, because white has the first move and has the initiative. Then he takes his bishop, so he's now spent 1 move, 2 moves in that bishop, and then poof, the bishop's gone, right? And now look, 1, 2 against 1, 2, 3. And now I'm 1 step closer to castling queenside if I want to. Yes, it's white to play, and white castles, right? But he has lost his half move advantage at that point now. Obviously we've got an open e-file, need to get the king safe at some point, so let's castle. He now pushes d4. These pawns are each defended by a knight. I play my knight to here, adding a second attacker to the d5 pawn. He now comes round and has a sniff at my bishop, which is a bit odd. I mean, he does give up this pawn, right? So I think, well, let's have the pawn. Thank you very much indeed. And now he takes and queen takes. So now the situation is we're both castled. He's got 1 piece developed and I've got 3. So it's not fantastic play from my opponent, who, by the way, has only spent 19 seconds of his allotted 5 minutes at this point. Right? Bishop's attacking this pawn, queen and knight both defend. I've connected my rooks. I'm winning at this point in time. Now, he brings his knight into e5, defended by a pawn. Slightly annoying. I think centralising a rook probably makes a lot of sense. I actually bring my other rook across here with ideas about maybe attacking this pawn. The knight isn't an actual threat at this time. And now he plays queen e3, and now I actually play this is what the engine called a missed win. I play c6, and apparently this is not the key moment. Apparently c5 was winning, because I guess I'm threatening to capture the defender of this knight. Okay, so let's c5. If he takes, he just loses the knight, so he can't do that. c5 if he plays c3. Yeah, I don't really get it. I think I would need the machine's help with that. Now, he does have 2 attackers on this pawn as well. So, yeah, answers in the comments. Why is c6 not winning and c5 is? So, there you go. Also, notice that because there's no f-pawn there, that this diagonal is kind of weak. But yes, he still does have a dark squared bishop. So, I don't know. I don't really know. Probably want to play rook f to e8 at some point too. Anyway, so I play this and miss a win, apparently. He plays c3 anyway, defending his pawn. Then I push c5. Slightly too little, too late. He grabs the pawn. So now material is equal. Okay, he does have a kind of a dark squared pawn wall in the middle of the board, which doesn't really help his bishop. I have no bishops at this point. So now I slide queenie over, adding a second attacker to this, and also attacking the pawn on b2. He defends the pawn on b2, and here I take out the bishop. I just figure, yeah, if we come down to an endgame, I would rather no one have a bishop. Okay, so the situation is now that I'm temporarily +3, we're now equal, okay? We've got 6 pawns each. He's got a 4 and a 2. I've got 2 3s. There is tension in the middle of the board. And I take this pawn and he takes the pawn. All right, we are approaching the critical point in the game. Now, I now win a pawn with rook takes d4. Okay, so just go look at this again. He takes that. He's got 2 defenders, but there are 3 attackers on this pawn. So, since I put my rook here, remember I put that there earlier on, and now just take out the bishop, and that's a discovered attack by the rook with a battery of 3 pieces. Okay, so we win a pawn, and we attack the queen at the same time. Now, opponent plays queen there. So it's kind of pinning the rook, because if queen takes queen here, it's going to weaken my pawns. I'll end up with doubled pawns on the b file, not ideal. I play rook to e8, where it is defended by the knight, so I'm not worried about queen takes rook with a back rank. And he now pulls his rook over to here. I move my king to f8 as a defender, a second defender of that. So should this knight disappear, queen takes isn't playable because I just take it, and then rook takes, and the king is the final capturer, and the king can only be the final piece to capture. So now stuff is starting to, we're getting a Tarantino ending, boys and girls. He plays his pawn to here, and now is the key moment. My next move is a blunder. There's an alternative move that is winning, okay? And it basically involves taking out this pawn, right? This pawn move seems to, I mean, not sure why he's doing it. He spent less than 2 minutes of his time. And this is the point where, so there's a couple of things. First of all, you can't sit in a 5-minute blitz game and calculate all the most likely outcomes of all the appealing candidate moves or viable candidate moves. But that doesn't mean you can't calculate in a 5-minute blitz game. The point is to be able to identify, using your spidey senses, when the critical moments are. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a critical moment. All right? Make no mistake. So this is where you have to go, okay, I've got 2 minutes and 9 seconds on my clock. I need to spend maybe 25 of those seconds figuring out what to do here. So you've got 2 main options, right? You've got knight takes pawn, or you've got rook takes pawn, which comes with check, and a discovery on the queen. So I would invite you at this point to pause the video and in your head figure out which of those moves is the good move and which of those moves is losing. And we'll come back in a second and we'll figure it out together. Okay. So, the move I play in the game is knight takes g4, right? And I'm attacking the queen. I figure this knight can't move because he just loses his queen. So if knight takes knight here, let's figure it out, right? Knight takes knight. So now the board's gone pale because we've done it. I win the queen, okay? And I'm up a queen. Yes, he'll probably take my rook, but then I take the knight. This rook is now pinned, and I'm going to go on and win. Okay, that's my thinking. However, he doesn't have to do that. I think according to the machine, this is the blunder, okay? And that's what you know, don't, this is the point of, yeah, dude, what's your point? Walter, what's your point? Here's the point, dude, right? The point is, he doesn't have to do that, okay? So when we talk about calculation, so often, and all of us are guilty of this, we think, I do this, my opponent's going to play the obvious move, and, oh, I'm okay. Right, off we go. We're off to the races. Well, no, because my opponent actually has, better ideas here. And if he'd used his time a little bit better, he would have realised. Now, opponent here does play a great move, right? Look at that. So, check and a fork on the queen. Surely winning. Okay? But no. Because I find that I have this resource. Okay? So I capture his knight. And here, doesn't he have mate in... No, he can't. He doesn't have mate in 1 because the queen is pinned on the king. Right? So, I mean, what a mind bender. Right? So he doesn't have that. So, but he missed a win at this point. Right? Well, what is the win that he missed? Okay? I believe he has another check. And this is the key thing, right? In fact, but I have, so I can take the knight with a pawn, or that pawn, or the queen, right? So, but however I capture, that's mate. Okay, so it's mate in 2. Whatever happens, it's mate in 2. I'm in check. If I move the king, it's mate. Okay, but I missed that. And why did I miss it? Right, well, I missed it because all I thought was, this looks okay. And if knight takes, happy days. That's as far as I got. There, knight takes, I win the queen. Right, because the queen's pinned, he's in check, he has to get out of check, I win the queen and go on to win the game and dance over the line with a big smile on my face. But no, right, no. There, knight here. Okay, so what you have to, and this is calculation. Okay, if I do that, right, what does my opponent have? What resources does he have? Okay, well, knight there doesn't do anything. It just drops the queen. Does he have any checks, captures, threats? Check here. Oh, that's a fork, but no, that's not workable. I just win the knight. Okay, and the queen is then pinned. Right. I mean, look, admittedly, that is, to say that and then this and the queen's pinned, it's not the most obvious thing, but quite honestly, guys, truthfully, between you and me, it's there on the board, right? All you have to do is to develop your ability to visualize what the board is going to be like if 2 simple changes on. We're not talking rocket science here, right? That the queen is pinned, okay? So there's, that would normally be checkmate if the queen could move, but she can't move because it would put white in check, right? And you're not allowed to do that, even if you're checkmating your opponent, okay? So am I capable of figuring that out? That doesn't work for white, right? Yes, I am capable of doing it. Why didn't I do it? Because I was lazy. That's it. I couldn't be asked to calculate it. Okay, got 2 minutes 9 seconds on my clock. How long does it take to go, okay, if I do that, right? And the thing is, I've got an over the board game coming up and I don't get arrows. I don't think you're allowed to take, wipe clean whiteboard markers with you and draw on the board. Are you in over the board? Is there a rule against that? I'm not sure. Anyway, and highlight, little highlight, little stickers and stuff like that. Probably not allowed. What resources does my opponent have? Am I capable of figuring out this? Okay, if the knight goes there, I'm in check. Okay, now I know this pattern. Right, this is a big L. There's also a long L pattern, which is this one, which a knight can fork, right? But I'm capable of spotting this. I'm capable of thinking if knight goes there, rook takes, but then there's a mate, but no, there isn't, because if the rook moves, the queen's pinned, right? I am capable of figuring that out. So are you. And then I go, oh, okay, well, what else does he have? I've got 2 minutes 9 seconds, right? In 2 minutes 9 seconds, can I visualize this? Check. Oh, shit. Right. Okay. I can. So if I take the pawn, he checks me. I can take, I can even take with the queen, but then nothing stops that. And because my rook has not moved, right, the queen is not pinned. So the best move here is this. Okay? If knight takes, queen falls. Queen takes, not even possible, right? So what's going to happen here? Knight takes, you lose the queen. Queen here, you lose the queen. King moves. What do we do? We know it's winning. I'm +2 at this point. I'm actually 2 pawns up. Well, let's see. Let's see. In fact, no, let's not see. Let's figure it out, right? Why is this completely winning now for white? So the queen's not pinned. We could simply trade off. If we trade off, I don't win the knight. I'd be very tempted to trade. Also threatening this. But then does he still have knight here? I think he might do, you know. I think I would trade off the queens and just go into an ending with a 2-pawn advantage on the F and G files. And this knight is now actually pinned here, but it does have a check. So I could, for example, I could attack the knight like that. If he goes here, I just take with a pawn. If he goes here, I take with a knight. So I think that is what I would do. And let us quickly review the game. So here, you can see the point here. So I made a good move there. Yeah, taking this pawn basically wins the pawn. And now I'm +5, right? It really likes my position. There, that's good. There was a better move. That's interesting. So knight takes maybe. No, wow. Yeah. So here, I've got 2 attackers on that. Yeah, I mean, that's calculable. And this is the thing, right? So here, blunder, mate in 2, right? Mate in 2, show the line, yes. Whatever happens, it's mate. Okay, now, the best move was rook takes, and now I'm +7. And the line would go like this, with best play. King moves, we simply win the knight. We win the knight. So why doesn't the queen take here? Because if queen c6 check is completely winning. Queen c6 check. Oh, because the king's cut off by that, right? So how do you stop the check? You block on this square. That's it. That's all you've got. So rook here, rook takes, or knight takes. Yeah, and then as soon as that piece moves, it's actually pretty much checkmate. So yeah, interesting. But here's the point, all of this stuff is figurable. You can figure this stuff out. So we can spend our time studying openings. We can spend our time, practicing puzzles and tactics and this kind of thing. But, puzzles are fantastic because it teaches you to calculate. But the other thing I think the key difference for me and for most of you watching this is going to be that we need to adopt the discipline where we say, I'm going to enjoy calculation. You've got to enjoy it. You've got to want to do it, right? If you don't want to do it, you're not going to be bothered to do it, and you'll stay roughly at the same level. Give or take some little tweaks, some little improvements here and there. But if we don't calculate, we're never going to break through to the next level. And the point about calculation is that you can take it as deep as you want to do it. You can take it as deep as you can be bothered to do it. Right? So I know, and I think this particular position here was just a key lesson for me in to remind me of that fact. The information is right there on the board. It's not rocket science, right? If this was a puzzle, black to play, I could sit there. It'd probably take me a few minutes, right? And I've only got 2 minutes 9 on the clock. But can I do that? Can I do that in a 5-minute game? I know I can. In my heart of hearts, I know I'm capable of doing it. I just generally can't be bothered. And that's it. It is only laziness, and that's it, guys. So that's my lesson for today. And I'm passing it on to you because that's what we do. So hope it's useful. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you soon.